All right, ladies and gentlemen, delegates, it is my distinct honor to welcome all of you to the summer Davos here in Tianjin, the beautiful Chinese coastal city, and to this session on the Belt and Road Initiative. Now, there's an old Chinese saying that many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with. That is, if you want to get rich, build a road first. And that ancient Chinese saying is actually pretty much echoed in Western policy circles, from President Eisenhower to President Obama of the United States, from President Emmanuel Macron of France to late Prime Minister of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew. All said something similar along the line of if a nation that builds infrastructure builds the future. So in this slide, President Xi Jinping of China proposed the Belt and Road Initiative in September 2013. That is 12 years ago. Now, 12 years on, how has this initiative fared against the context of the 21st century? What have been the challenges along the way? Some legitimate questions raised revolving this project. And given today's geoeconomic realities, what will be its future? Today, I'm truly honored to have a very well-qualified and I would say cutting-edge group of policy leaders, scholars, to discuss all these questions. And without further ado, let me introduce each and every one of them to you. Later on, we will have the pleasure of having His Excellency, Mr. Aliobek Kassimaliev, Prime Minister of Kyrgyzstan, joining us to deliver closing remarks. Actually, he just met with the Chinese leadership and he is on his way to the venue as we speak. For our panel discussion, we have Mr. Zhou Haibin, Vice Chairman of the National Development and Reform Commission of China. Welcome. 朱主任您好，欢迎您。Dr. Rania Al-Mashad is Minister of Planning and Economic Development and International Cooperation of Egypt. Welcome to China, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Chen Chaoyang is Director of the Board and President of China's Southern Power Grid. Welcome. And last and certainly not least, Professor Yuan An, Alfred Chandler Chair Professor of Political Economy at Johns Hopkins University. So let's get to them. In case you need simultaneous translation devices, please put it on now. I'll be asking the question in Chinese for the first question. 周主任。
My first question is addressed to Madam Zhou, Vice Chairman Zhou. The world has many challenges: economic slowdown, rise of extremism, confrontation, unemployment, and so on. They are related to the lack of economic opportunities and the absence of infrastructure. 12 years on since China's announcement of BRI, we have signed an agreement of cooperation with 150 countries and 30 international organizations. So can you give us a summary of the development of BRI of the past 12 years? What's the contribution to the world economic development? Thank you. Thank you. In 2013, President Xi announced BRI. Since then, with the joint efforts of all stakeholders, co-building of BRI has been translated from philosophy to actions, from vision to reality. We have achieved pragmatical and remarkable results, contributing to the friendship among participating countries and economic and social development of all these countries. I have the following comments to make. First, it contributes to interconnectivity of the whole world. A new pattern has been identified. BRI is committed to building economic corridors so as to enhance ICT expressways to be reinforced by railways, roads, pipelines, airports, and seaports so as to enhance connectivity of the whole world. For example, China-Lao Railway has been in smooth operation for 3 years, carrying more than 60 million tons of cargo, turning Lao into a country of better connectivity. And new channels have also been opened up for the cargo trains between China and Europe. Nowadays we have 110,000 trains connecting China with over 229 destinations in Europe. As a result, we have also contributed to liberalization and facilitation of world commerce and trade. We have entered a new era of opening up, making the world economic globalization more inclusive and mutually beneficial, according to the World Bank's research report on BRI. Co-building of BRI will increase the trade engagement of the participating countries, increase by 4.1% by 2030. Co-building of BRI will create $1.6 trillion of additional value for the world economy. Secondly, we have also contributed to the improvement of people's livelihood along the Belt and Road. By upholding the Silk Road spirit, we focus on job creation, poverty relief, better livelihood. A large number of small yet smart projects have been implemented for that purpose. For example, Tianjin has taken an initiative to promote Luban workshops in more than 100 participating countries, cultivating over 60,000 high-skilled personnel. Through Lantang Mekong Cooperation Initiative in Laos, and other cooperating countries, we have provided safe drinking water to over 10,000 local villagers. And we have also created a new platform for win-win cooperation by planning together, building together, and benefiting together. We advocate a new philosophy of common prosperity and turn the world economic pattern into a new and more fair and equitable paradigm. BRI summits have been held. Under this framework, over 30 mechanisms of dialogue have been set up, enabling all the stakeholders to participate in in-depth exchange and engagement, deepening mutual understanding and interaction. Practice shows co-building of Belt and Road is critical to common prosperity of all countries. It paves the way to modernization and a bright vision for all the stakeholders. It's a robust mechanism with a bright outlook. Thank you for your input. So BRI involves both physical infrastructure and philosophical connectivity.
The initiative. In fact, Egypt was among the first countries in Africa, in the Arab world, to join the BRI. So, Madam Minister, I know you're in charge of international cooperation and international liaison. Perhaps you can talk to us about your assessment of how the BRI has helped advance Egypt's own national development goals over the years.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm very pleased to be among a distinguished panel, and from the audience it just seems that this is one of the most interesting sessions. Everybody wants to know, after 10 years, how has the Belt and Road Initiative helped countries? And let me say that international partnership is built on common and mutual interests. And when you take a look at the number of countries that are part of the Belt and Road Initiative, this is in itself a testament of the importance. Just last year, we were in China celebrating the 10th year anniversary. And it was an opportunity for the different countries to present the projects that are on the Belt and Road Initiative. These projects, when you take a look at them, have promoted sustainable infrastructure, be it transportation, be it renewable energy, be it in terms of ports. So each project for every country, and that was what was presented, and Egypt is not an exception in this, it is consistent with national agenda, and it's consistent with the national strategic goals. So when you talk about accelerators with respect to pushing these projects, we can say that the Belt and Road Initiative has been, in many instances, an accelerator for pushing forward the national strategies. Something else which is quite interesting as of late, we also have different national and international initiatives which fall and actually complement the Belt and Road. For instance, if I look at China, there's the Global Development Initiative, also launched a few years ago, and so many of the projects there also push together with the Belt and Road. One of the key elements is also the financing, and a lot of the financing that are going to these projects have been development finance. You mentioned part of the ministry, which is international cooperation. It is the one that has to do with mobilizing development finance from international institutions. So when we take a look at Egypt's sustainable transport, when we look at our renewable energy, a lot of mobilization of resources to the private sector, development mobilization, so low-cost financing that has gone to the private sector to push this kind of investment. So once again, it's not just about the physical infrastructure, because when you're doing the physical infrastructure, you're also drawing in FDI, you're also drawing in more jobs. There's also an element of technology transfer. I look at the China-Egypt relationship, and we have an industrial zone for Chinese companies, and some of these companies are the ones that produce the solar panels. So we do have this localizing manufacturing, which is also coming alongside the initial Belt and Road projects. So I just want to leave a message for everyone. When we look at the Belt and Road, we should not just think of physical infrastructure, but we also have to look at the different dimensions that it has brought. And as the previous speaker has mentioned, it also has pushed collaboration among different countries. And once again, when we take a look at Egypt and China, the initiation of the discussion started with the historic visit of the President of China to Egypt in 2014. And also we have an MOU signed on the Belt and Road Initiative.
What are the emerging industries, most exciting areas, sectors of cooperation that you personally look forward to between China and Egypt very quickly?
So we have, two aspects of the relationship. One of them has to do with investments and Chinese companies investing in Egypt. And then we have a development cooperation with China. And when we talk about the development cooperation, we, for example, in the area of health, labs, satellites, and also tech capacity building, all of this is on the development side. So this is a government-to-government relationship which has been with the SITCA, played a very important role in pushing the development agenda in Egypt. Also with China, we signed a debt swap a few years ago. So this is also something that we are moving ahead with. So this is on the development cooperation. So when we look at China, everybody's inspired by the development model of China, and therefore, when we talk about South-South cooperation, it's this development aspect is extremely important. And then on the investment and trade, this is the other leg, which is also significant because of the number of Chinese companies that are in this China industrial zone in Egypt. More than 150 companies, more than 10,000 jobs, and it's very multi-sectoral.
Talking about cooperation projects, electricity is a big part of it, but according to the United Nations, believe it or not, over 600 million people around the world don't have access to electricity. A very sad state of affairs, but things are improving. And that leads to my next question to President Chen Chaoyang of China's Southern Grid. 钱总啊，根据联合国的一个数字，
According to UN statistics, globally there are over 600 million people without stable access to electricity. But it is gratifying to see that from 2015 to 2021, the global electricity penetration improved from 87% to 91%, 4 percentage points higher, with some overlapping with the BRI initiative. China's Southern Grid has taken part in a large number of power projects around the world. In your opinion, how will BRI assisting energy assistance and energy transformation around the world? Very good question. For global energy development, first, we need to provide access to electricity. Second, we must transform electricity to green electricity. With BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, its core tenet will help us grow and transform the global energy sector. As a CEO of an energy company in the process of international collaboration, there are two observations that I want very much to share with you. First, BRI has provided rare opportunities and platform for global energy development. Second, implementing BRI initiative has helped countries, especially developing ones, address gaps in electricity access while helping them with green energy transformation with a viable path. So at least there are two effects of BRI on energy transformation and development. First and foremost, BRI has expanded possibilities and potentials for global energy cooperation. For example, different countries are complementing each other with energy resources within the BRI framework. Between importers and exporters, BRI has served as a bridge between supply and demand. For example, in Southeast Asia and along the Mekong River Valley, we can see that the mutually complementary technologies, offerings, resources, and capabilities with BRI, in the case of Laos, Malaysia, Thailand, and Singapore, they are going to end up with mutually complementary energy landscape. Second, it has pushed forward interconnections of electricity markets around the world. For example, our HVDC, high voltage DC lines have been a very successful transmission strategy. Recently, in Chile of South America, we have entered into negotiations with the local providers to help them establish a 1,500-kilometer HVDC transmission line to transport electricity from the generation base in northern Chile to the load centers in its southern part. So with the Belt and Road Initiative, everybody is giving full play to its capabilities. Secondly, the BRI has created very enabling conditions for energy transformation for those countries involved. First, with regard to the neighboring countries around China, electric power connectivities, we have seen a lot of electric power interconnections and interconnectivity. We are establishing long-haul corridors for the sharing of electricity, interconnection of electricity. And investment in renewable energy has also created enabling conditions for energy transformation. For example, China has a lot of technologies and equipment on solar and wind. We're exporting those technologies to around 120 countries around the world. We are also helping some countries increase the reliability of their power grid while reducing downtime, making their power grids more reliable. So with BRI, it's helping with global energy and electricity development and transformation, playing a very important role and positive role here. Yes, access to electricity and using a better and greener electricity.
Power grids in the world, channeling hydroelectricity power into electricity, empowering 2/3 of Brazilian population that is mostly populated in the south. Professor, An Yuanyuan, welcome to the Summer Davos, and it's good to see you because Professor Yuan taught at my alma mater, Johns Hopkins University. Didn't have a chance to attend your class or ask a question, but I do now. She wrote 2 books on China. How China Escaped the Poverty Trap, published in 2016. It was named one of the best books of 2017 by Foreign Affairs. Congratulations. And also China's Gilded Age, published in 2020. So it's fair to say you have been observing China for quite a while. Can you give us your assessment on the Belt and Road Initiative 12 years on? I mean, what worked? What were the challenges that needs to be fixed? How have countries leveraged this mega project?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on this distinguished panel. As a scholar, I learned from listening to policymakers and business leaders, incorporated with field work on the ground. And I've worked with the United Nations to study the impact and local reception of BRI in Southeast Asia, including in Cambodia, where China is now the largest foreign investor. And in a word, I would say that I think the BRI is best understood as the world's largest and fastest experiment in global development. And I would underscore the word experiment, because outside of China, especially in Western commentary, the BRI is often perceived as a grand strategy, like a master plan, a blueprint. And as a result, and the underlying assumption behind that kind of perception is in turn the understanding that China must be centralized, and every decision coming out of China must be exquisitely planned. But when the BRI is being perceived as a master plan, the problem is that when issues arise, when debts are not paid, for instance, it is assumed that China is making these mistakes deliberately. And that is how the meme debt trap diplomacy gained global traction. So I would say that how might steps be taken to improve the perception of BRI? I would suggest that it goes back to a phrase from President Xi, which is telling China's story well. And in my own work, I would say that you can think about the BRI as a global version of directed improvisation. This is a phrase.
Directed improvisation.
Or you can say directed adaptation as an easier option. This is a phrase I coined in my own study of Chinese development. Directed adaptation means that the top directs, it doesn't dictate, it sets broad directions about the goals and the visions, and the actors on the ground, the bottom, they're the ones doing the improvisation and the adaptation. So it's the combination of this top-down direction and bottom-up adaptation that produces a diversity of models. Within China, regional models, and in the BRI, actually many models of cooperation between China and various different countries. So when the Chinese development model and the BRI is understood as directed adaptation, then I think it gives us more perspective. Well, first of all, we realize that even in Western-led global development, mistakes, failures, and misadventures happen. It's not unique to China. It's just that when it happens in the Western context, we're a bit more forgiving, and we'll say good intentions, poor implementation. Right? But if we can understand that the BRI is actually an experiment, a massive policy experiment, then when things don't go quite well, we can understand that it's part of the learning curve. It's not part of a conspiracy, right? And so I think that understanding, which is aligned with China's domestic development experience, can help us understand BRI as an adaptive project and helps it to put it in more constructive light.
Yeah, directed adaptation, not a dictated one. I mean, sometimes the choice of words, it's a difference of worlds, direct versus dictates. Thanks for the clarification. 我们看到刚才周主任啊对您的一些表述也在点头。
Well, Ms. Zhou is nodding. So BRI is a global initiative. Unavoidably, there will be a policy dialogue with many countries involved, including financing plans. And ESG aspects must be taken care of, like labor standards. Mr. Zhou, could you please share with us that over the years in the BRI process, what are the challenges we had together with the recipient countries, and how did we overcome those challenges together with the host countries? Well, thank you for this question. With accelerating transformation once in a century, we have entered into a new age of turbulence and volatilities in the world, and World Bank, of late, has revised the growth projection from 2.7% in January to 2.3%. 70% of the economies have experienced downward prospects of growth. It has posed some challenges to the BRI development, but more importantly, BRI development has greater opportunities than challenges. First, Global South is rising as a collective group. Emerging economies in terms of infrastructure and advanced manufacturing are displaying tremendous demand and potentials. Second, the new round of science and technology revolution and industrial transformation is taking root. Many countries are dedicated to developing digital economy, green development. Therefore, there's huge potential for cooperation in these new sectors. Thirdly, the idea of building a community for shared future for mankind is being received and acclaimed by more and more countries. Now, 153 countries and organizations have acceded to this vision. Confronted with complexities and uncertainties, all countries and peoples are seeking win-win cooperation in peaceful development. We must always guard our initial intentions of cooperation on the basis of shared development and consultation, so as to build even broader international consensus while enhancing and deepening practical cooperation so as to provide positive momentum.
So BRI is more than a strategic plan. It involves a lot of details for implementation.
Concerns revolving the BRI over the past 12 years. I mean, some say this is an extension of China's geopolitical ambitions. Some, of course, as Professor An has pointed out, focus on the physical situations, the debt situations of recipient countries and participating countries. Of course, others point to ESG standards on the environment, on labor, on local employment. How do you look at all these competing views surrounding the BRI?
I mean, a few qualifications. First, there is no, plan which is forced on countries. That's number one. So number two, it's voluntary. So it's there's not like a master plan which says this country does this and this country does that and that. So it's that needs to be taken into account. Number two, in terms of the financing, this is an ongoing global dialogue. We have the Finance for Development Conference taking place in Seville on the 30th of June. This is a conference, a UN conference that takes place every 10 years, and it talks about development finance for emerging economies, for countries from the South. And the point is that we need less debt and more mobilization of private resources to do any of the projects that we're talking about. So the concept or the idea of the financing dilemma for countries to develop is something that is ongoing. It's part of a global dialogue, and it's up to the relationship between countries and international institutions to try and figure out ways to find low-cost financing modalities for these projects. So that's another point. So first, it's the country's ownership to design its project and be part of the bigger Belt and Road initiative. Number two, the cost of doing these projects is something that is on everybody's mind, and it's in the global scheme for so long. And number three, on debt itself, there are different initiatives to try and deal with the debt. And one of the key points in the finance for development is, do we have, for example, debt swap modalities that can be implemented, debt swap for development, debt swap for investment? Is there a way to bring in more private investment into these projects so that we can de-risk and blend, have grant component? So this is also a third leg. So my answer would be that it all depends on country. There's a lot of country ownership. As I mentioned, there is supposedly a consistency between what the country vision is, whether it's the 2030 or the economic and social development plans of countries, and where these different projects lie. For example, in Egypt, we have our nationally determined contribution with respect to renewable energy is 42% by 2030. So all the projects that we're trying to do and investments in the grid are to ensure that we meet our 2030 objective and goals, and this happens to be consistent with what's happening on the Belt and Road. So these would be my answers to many of these. I don't want to call them criticism, but maybe suspicion, or I would say there's an information gap. Let me agree with the professor that information gap means that we need to put out more information. We need to put out more examples. And by the way, the conference that took place here to celebrate the 10 years, each country provided what it is doing, and I think this is available. So sometimes, there are many questions, but sometimes there's not enough effort in people trying to figure out exactly what all of this is. So I'm very happy that you're having this panel so that we sort of close the information gap related to this initiative.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about these mega projects, involves years of negotiation on standards, on assessment of the impact on the environment, on employing locals, especially on electricity sector. But go ahead.
Yes, but the thing is, in our case, for example, a lot of the projects, whether it's sustainable transport or renewable, have been financed by international institutions, and we would not be able to get this financing unless we were aligned with environmental standards and with ESG, whether it's the government or private sector that is getting these types of resources. So that's, again, a very important point. It depends where the money is coming from in order to support these projects.
Yeah. 钱总能不能跟我们分享一下中国南方电网在这些年
Mr. Chen, can you share with us the practices of your company? Can you share with us some good examples of international cooperation? We understand cross-border cooperation involves a lot of issues, including policy alignment, the need to upgrade the power grid, and focus on local labor standards and job creation. Thank you. China Southern Power Grid has a lot of observations to share with you in terms of international cooperation. In terms of achievements, we are impressed by the value of sharing and win-win cooperation. With win-win cooperation, we lay a solid foundation for mutual trust. And I have three remarks to make in this regard. First of all, through BRI, we have shared the energy and resources of the participating countries. To the south of China, we have 15 power loops of 110 kilowatts with neighboring countries, including Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. And as mentioned by the minister from Egypt, we are also working together to increase the share of renewable energy in the total energy inventory. Secondly, we have shared more advanced technology. In South America, we have participated in a power distribution company in a capital city to reduce blackout hours in Lima, the capital city of Peru. Through technology transfer, we have helped this local company to become a role model of reliable power supply. And the third one is about sharing of experience in energy governance. We have set up a joint venture for energy distribution in Laos so as to share our expertise in grid governance, talent management, and so on, so as to minimize black hour of trans-province black hours by 70% in just 2 years. With these initiatives, we have deepened mutual trust for women cooperation. So our experience for cross-border cooperation, I also have 3 observations to share with you. First, we prioritize infrastructure development for cross-border power transmission and distribution. So infrastructure development is of top priority. Secondly, guided by the belief in win-win cooperation, we turn energy infrastructure development into a growth engine for the recipient countries. Thirdly, we focus on the improvement of people's livelihood. With small yet smart projects, we improve the living standards of the local communities so that they are impressed by the benefits of our jointly developed projects. By doing so, we lay a solid foundation for cross-border cooperation. In terms of my takeaways, I believe through greater connectivity, we are fully confident in promoting energy transmission and sustainable development of the whole world. We need connectivity of the physical facilities for stable and reliable power supply. So physical connectivity is the precondition for secure development. The second one is about software connectivity. With joint efforts, we can improve the performance of all the operators in participating countries. And thirdly is people-to-people connectivity with mutual understanding. We contribute to cross-border trust and friendship. As a result, we can share a brighter future of greater connectivity. That's my answer to your question. We are fully confident in the outlook of BRI. Yes, many projects have got people from a lot of BRI countries together for win-win cooperation.
Scalable lessons and prototypes that the BRI has offered in the past 12 years, and perhaps other countries can learn from? And what are the things that they can improve upon so that going forward they can become an even more sustainable and empowering mechanism?
Sure. I would build on an observation that the minister has made, which is that the BRI is more than infrastructure. The infrastructural contributions are obvious, but infrastructure also brings with it entire ecosystems of people, networks, and I'm going to stress the ideas, the role of ideas, the right kind of ideas. The BRI can be an opportunity for China to advance an intellectual shift toward adaptive, experimental development. And to help everyone put this in context, in global development, typically developing countries are presented with a false binary. Either you choose the Western liberal model or you choose the China model, right? And this is presented as an either or and an opposite. But But I would argue that this is definitely a false binary, because the reality of China's own development is directed adaptation. And I would use a Chinese figurative term to kind of make it come alive. I'll translate it into English. It's something like the central government sets the stage or the platform, and local governments write the script.
I think I know what it is, but go ahead.
Yes, but I think it provides a figurative sense, right, of the Chinese model of development. It is not simply top-down central planning. It's actually this directed adaptation. And so when this is implemented globally through the BRI, it's not just about building roads, which is very important, as you pointed out, but it's also really helping developing countries all around the world to embrace a much more adaptive mode of development. And that intellectual contribution, I would stress, is important, although it feels abstract, because what we are dealing with right now is really resetting the terms of global development, right? So it's roads, but it's also about ideas and narratives, and these things have to come together in an entire package.
Yeah, I mean, with all due respect, our Western media colleagues, they're so powerful. Their narratives are so powerful. There is some catching up to do, but the non-Western media outlets, we're getting there. So I think we have some questions from the members of the audience. In the interest of time, we do have the PM of Prime Minister of Kyrgyzstan speaking later on, so I'll open it up for questions. All right, so please identify yourself and your affiliation and ask a question. By a question, I mean one question. Okay, go ahead.
谢谢主持人。
Thank you. I'm from Phoenix TV. My question is addressed to Vice Chairman Zhou Haibing of NDRC. In your remarks, you mentioned small yet smart projects. Can you give us details and examples on that? Thank you. Thank you for your question. Small yet smart projects refer to those with smaller economic scale, yet they are adapted to the local needs, designed to improve people's livelihood and a sense of benefit from cooperation. I can give you a few examples on such projects. First of all, they are beneficial to the livelihood of the local communities. Small yet smart projects improve people's sense of well-being and benefit.
So it can help address their real needs, making their livelihood better. For example, over the recent years, China dispatched numerous medical teams to 30-plus countries to carry out what we call Project Light, providing free of charge diagnosis and treatment in order to treat thousands of cataract patients. That initiative has been very much welcomed. The members of the medical teams from China are praised as ambassadors of light in the local communities. For small but smart projects, they take less investment, but they are more impactful. Through the implementation of small but smart projects, we aim to deliver substantial benefits to recipient countries. For example, we have delivered a shared special technology for grass growing, for fodder, and also for electricity generation using biomaterials. Out of the past 4 years, we've hosted numerous workshops and training sessions to bring that grass-growing technology to 100-plus countries. Those fungi grass growing has helped many communities to get rid of poverty. Many local residents call them Chinese grass or the happy grass. And thirdly, it's all about sustainability. According to an old Chinese saying, it's better to teach others how to fish instead of giving him fish. For smart, small but smart projects, we are empowering local residents with technology, know-how, and expertise so that they can sustain their livelihood by themselves. For example, in 2018, in East Africa, Chinese companies helped build the first cross-border electrified railway link in Africa. At the same time, in Djibouti, China helped establish the first railway professional training center in Africa, having trained lots of trainees. And many of those trainees later have become experts themselves, and their average salary is twice that of the local average. Going forward, China will press ahead with small but smart projects, working together with the host countries, sharing with them our development expertise and experience, so as to drive shared development to be shared by the whole world. In some South Pacific countries, this Chinese grass is being grown in order to cope with climate change. Thank you, Mr. Zhou.
Prime Minister Qasim Maliev, welcome to Economic Forum, Summer Davos. Oh, let's continue with our questions. I thought there was one. Okay. Do we have more questions? No? All right then. So, it is my honor to invite the Prime Minister of Kyrgyzstan, Mr. Adembaek Qasim Aliyev, to address our forum. Now, just some background here. There has just been this conclusion of a very successful China Central Asian Summit in Astana, Kazakhstan, the second of its kind. Kyrgyzstan is a very active partner in China's Belt and Road Initiative. The China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan Railway, which is on track to be the shortest route linking China and Europe, is finally underway, under construction after years, if not decades, of negotiation. So, Prime Minister Qasim Maliev, the floor is yours. Please.
Спасибо.
Thank you. Dear participants of today's event, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let me express my greet you and sincere gratitude for organizing the beautiful city Tianjin, and the warm welcome and impeccable organization of the forum, for the organizing the World Economic Forum. The topic of today's panel session is: where is the Belt and Road Initiative headed? Since the launch of the initiative, the initiative of the esteemed One Belt, One Road has become sought-after international platform for cooperation. We view One Belt as a strategic direction of cooperation with the People's Republic of China. The initiative of the esteemed Chairman Xi Jinping, we view One Belt as the strategic direction of cooperation with the People's Republic of China for infrastructure modernization, increasing export potential, and attractive investments. In these words, our country was first one to support, became the active participant in the world. Undoubtedly, in the current geopolitical conditions, the initiative of the One Belt, One Road has become a sought-after international platform for cooperation. Dear colleagues, talking about the initiative One Belt, One Road regarding our country, I would like to say 5 directions that have strategic for Kyrgyzstan. First is the transport between Kyrgyzstan and Kitai and China. We have the over 1,000 kilometers of, we have, so with the 3 control points effectively functioning, which essentially serve as gates for China into the regions of Central Asia and Caucasus. In the current geopolitical realities, ensuring reliable and secure supply routes is the strategic task for all countries. We are ready to leverage our geopolitical advantages and transit potential to become a key logistics hub connecting the regions of Asia and Europe. In this context, the construction of new transport routes along the One Belt, One Road initiative is de facto development of interconnectedness of Eurasian space. Last year, together with the government of China and Uzbekistan, we started implementing a truly mega project, the construction of railway China, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, for which active construction work currently underway. The transport corridor, which the key element of the Belt Road initiative, will be true bridge between countries. Secondly, today's condition, new challenges and opportunities. The basis for stable progress is close cooperation between states, within which an important component in trade and economic cooperation. China is the main trade and investment partner of the Kyrgyz Republic. Between Kyrgyzstan and China, there has been an 8-fold increase in mutual trade volumes over the past few years. The last year, our trade turnover, according to the Chinese data, reached a record $9 billion. I just talked with Mr. Prime Minister. We had 11.5 billions of dollars. So Kyrgyzstan, being a key country within the Belt and Road Initiative, as well as a member of the World Trade Organization since and the Eurasian Economic Union since 2015, has unique advantages as both the global and regional levels. So in this direction, Kyrgyzstan seeks to deepen trade cooperation with the People's Republic of China, which is, thirdly, is the financial cooperation within the introduction of effective financial instruments capable of supporting large projects under the Belt and Road Initiative becomes particularly relevant. Financial system of Kyrgyzstan is a stage of dynamic growth and modernization. We are actively working to create favorable conditions for investors. We reform underway in the banking sector. We are implementing international regulatory standards. Last year, we created digital banking platforms, which increases the accessibility of financial services, enhance the capital market is actively developing. So we are actively attracting companies to issue stocks and bonds for local exchange. Together with international partners, the Asian Development Bank, we are developing new financing instruments such as green bonds. The financial sector of Kyrgyzstan is rapidly transforming thanks to digital technologies. Our Kyrgyzstan sides advocates deepening financial and interbank cooperation with the People's Republic of China within the framework of the One Belt, One Road for the sake of multilateralism and globalization. We are also working with our Chinese colleagues to issue signing a swap agreement between the central banks and of our countries. We are also working we are full of optimism regarding cooperation in the financial sector with the Chinese side with the framework One Belt, One Road initiative. The Kyrgyz side advocates the deepening of financial interbank cooperation with the People's Republic of China. And 5 is the energetics. We have the hydroelectric potential, and we have the hydroelectric stations of construction in the construction of the Kambarata with the plant capacity of 1,860 megawatts. I consider the interconnection of the energy systems of Central Asian countries and China, including the implementation of a mega project for the construction of high voltage power transition line. So I would like to, dear friends, about the current entrepreneurial spirit of Kyrgyzstan. So our Kyrgyz Sadr Nurgojevich Japarovs, for the last 4 years, we is part of the dynamic Asian space, ready to actively cooperate and learn, contributing to common movement forward. We have 12.5% of GDP. The budget of our country grew 3 times. We have the rating of the credit stable rating. I would like, in conclusion, Kyrgyzstan is the land of supporter of One Belt, One Road initiative. We have the actuality of the invite all interested partners, investors, interpreters, representatives of academic community to consider Kyrgyzstan as land of new opportunities. I am sure through gathering together we can build stability and prosperity of our people. I wish all the industrial work, constructive exchange of opinions and knowledge. Thank you.
And for addressing our very forum, thank you so much. I'm reminded by our staff that the time is up. I want to thank once again to all our panelists, Minister Zhou, Professor An, President Chen, and Madam Minister Al-Mashad of Egypt, and also the Prime Minister for sharing your ideas and insights on how to make the BRI more sustainable, because like it or not, it is here to stay, and it is very important to make it even more sustainable and empowering than it is now. With that, we come to the end of this session. Please enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.